Hey folks, welcome to Tim's Off Grid. I wanted to do an update here. So we've got the first side panels up on the 8x8 tiny house. What you'll use is a 2x4 across the bottom to help you stabilize these as you hold them up and screw or nail them on. Don't forget, it's important that you have a 2x4 that'll meet where these two panels come together. So these are pine. They are exterior panels for the sides of sheds, barns, houses, whatever you want to use them for. And this is what it looks like after you've got them on. And you can't really see where that seam comes together because they fit together so well. So I'm really impressed with these. And then I picked these that are about 1 foot with a 1 inch space. And I was thinking we'll do this and make it look like board and batten. So he wants to paint these blue, and then maybe these stripes are black. Who knows? Maybe the whole thing is blue, but blue is the color he wants, so that's what he's going to get. So this is Ethan's tiny house, that is. So next step is we've got to come in here and cut the windows. So I went ahead and went on the inside and drilled a pilot hole over here. I have to make that a little bit larger, and then I can get the Sawzall in there. But we have the opposing wall over here, everything framed up. I had to start moving faster and had to use this tarp yesterday because it was just really raining. So anyways, I'm going to come in here, drill a second hole here, so then I can get the Sawzall, and I'll just follow this edge. And I'll drill another hole down in this area so I can follow that edge and so forth. So that's what I'm going to do. I reckon another way would have been to mark this all out, take it back off, and cut it. But there's no way I was doing that. I think most everybody you see, they're just going to cut it out in place. There are other ways to do it, but that's the method I'm going to use. So let's get into it. See, it's kind of like using it as a milling bit at that point. And each time you make a hole, I'm making it perpendicular, so it wouldn't make any sense to go up and down with the next hole, always perpendicular. All right, I think we got a good start. We'll start cutting it out now. Wish I had a little bit longer blade. Not bad. Swap batteries. I think what's really messing me up is the length of that blade. I'm going to go see if I got some longer blades. It's causing me to cut at weird angles. I didn't see that until I came out here. All right, so I went and got my corded Sawzall that I've had for 20-something years. It's got my long blade on it. It'll be easier for me to line up with the edge of a stud and follow it versus that shorter blade where I was having to come in like this because it was hitting. This is going to allow me to cut the straighter edges. It's unfortunate, but it's a lesson I just had to learn, I guess. This is night and day. Jeez, I feel like so dumb for the way I cut it the first time, but you know what? Building this is kind of like trying to get it right at this small scale. So if I ever work on larger projects, I'll know what I'm doing a bit better. So you can see I kind of cut at some ridiculous angle over here. I feel like I should have known stuff was going crazy. And this is cut at an angle, so half of them are cut at an angle, half of them are cut correctly. That's my bad. Learn from my mistake, and that's what a lot of stuff will happen here. I'll make a mistake, but I'm going to go back and show you the mistake that I made and how the right way to do it would be, or a better way. I'll grab the first window and let's rough it in and see what it looks like. But apologies about the nonsense that I did here. That is not the way to do it. Get like a 6-inch saw blade. You line it up right on the side, just like this, or like this, and you just go. All right. Don't make the mistake I made. All right. And these windows were $159 each at Home Depot. They do have they're double pane, single hung. It's a half screen argon between the panes, $159, and then military discount, $15 off. So was that $145? It's got two of those. Let me go grab the first one. The window is an American Craftsman. It is vinyl. It is pre-hung. Remove plastic wrap immediately after purchase. I bet that's because they want you to inspect and see how jacked up it is. So if your window is damaged, they probably would rather you figure that out as soon as possible versus later when you're outside your warranty period or return period or whatever. To me, it looks like a pretty nice looking window so far. So I always find the spot where the ribbon material comes together and pull it apart. I don't need a knife typically. All right, I'm taking off all the packing material off of here. This cardboard is kind of glued on. That's probably great. That means they really protect the heck out of these things. Now remember, you need to double check where you live, what your building codes are for fastening windows into your frame or your rough end, etc. I am building something that is the equivalent of a shed, so I'm not worried about building codes, so to speak. And the shed's probably gonna go to West Virginia at some point also. So be careful when you're rotating it. Don't put a lot of weight on these flanges. It will bend over. They're really thin, as I can see right now. All right, it's obvious which side is the outside. All right, it's not too nuts that what happened with some of my activities here. And the rough end worked really, really, really well. So I hope you can see that. It does want to fall out at the moment. So I'm going to drive a screw into it. So don't tell anybody. I'm just kidding. But I want to see that it's level also when we drive that screw in. So, oh my. So I'm grabbing my drill and my level. So first off, we want to set the expectation for our surface holistically, right? So we know for drainage purposes, we're leaning a little bit that way. All right. Actually, we're leaning that way. Because if we pick this up, it gets worse. And if we pick this side up, it gets better. So we're leaning that way just a hair. So when the window is in, we should see it also leaning that way, meaning this side is higher than that side. All right. The other thing is, how does our window seal compare to that too, right? And that's why I've got a bunch of shims, so we can also shim things as needed. So when I built a lot of the structure, pretty level. So that's 0.1 right there. But this flooring here, for whatever reason, is tilted more that way. So in theory, we could say that just putting it in here, it should be nice and level. That would be part of our theory, right? So, man, how did I lose that? And look, we've got the same, and we should, right? The same amount of degree of levelness in here. So, because I was off a bit on this side with the way that I was leaning with the saw, we're going to come more to that side when we start to fasten the window in place than we are on this side. And we got plenty of room on that side for fasteners. And now that we've moved over some, we got plenty of room over there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a fastener in here to hold this in place. And I'm just going to put it in this top corner. Hold on. I'm going to try one in this top corner right here to hold us in place. All right, not bad. It actually looks really good on the inside too, but I am going to end up raising this a little bit because the thing I didn't take a look at was the very bottom. Yeah, I'm just looking at how this all comes together in here, and we'll build kind of some framing around the inside to make that look right, or to allow that to look right. And I'll just double check that we still look good here. Yep, 0.15. So not bad. And on either side of the window, you have your king and your jack stud. So all of your screw holes or nail holes should line up really well. And I'm going to put some more screws in this because these 3-inch screws are going to definitely hold this window in place. Don't go crazy on the screws because remember what we're going into, and it is like vinyl, so you could pull right on through that. And in terms of the shims, I'm not really even going to worry about the shims because the window is pretty much where the window is going to go in terms of the rough end, and then how I had that angled cut. So we're going to leave it just where it is. All right, so I'm putting screws around these areas here, and then we'll put nails in the rest of this. Oh my. Some of these may not have something that, yep. If with this super low like this, we will not likely be going in. So that's where I'm starting to find A couple errors in my ways here. Because I let this sit on the seal, which was the easiest way for me to get level. Like this one had nothing to bite on, but I'm pretty sure these do. But that's where I'll put a nail in it anyway. So just remember that. I was trying to cut corners here by thinking I had an easier way to go about all this, letting it sit on the seal. So if you're too low, you could miss that stud, but I didn't think so at that spacing. But again, how I cut some of the stuff, I think the other one I cut angled was this one right here, so that makes sense how that would throw that off. I'm gonna grab the nails that I got and my hammer, because those screws don't provide any shear strength, so to speak, for the window, but nails do. These are 2 3/8 nails that I got. Whatever you choose, make sure you have adequate head on the nail. I'd hate to remove this window. It'd be trashed. By what it would take to get all these nails out. I need me one of those tool belts. Almost done. A few more. I think these are similar to the windows I have in West Virginia. That one didn't like going in. Yeah, obviously trying to be careful right there as I'm working around that window. Look, right there at the end. Blue. That's okay. Because we got our window sealing tape that we're going to use. All right, that's pretty solid right there. I'm going to get our tape, which is right here. Now, the tape is really big, and I was hoping for something smaller, but that's okay. We're going to take what we get. I'm going to grab my tape knife. That just means that when we build our trim pieces around there, they're going to be a little bit larger trim pieces. Because remember, this thing's going to have trim pieces on the sides, trim pieces around the window. And this is like 4-inch. So it may work well with what we'll have in terms of 4-inch around it. Roll the tape. Yeah. I don't know that we're rolling the tape over here today. We'll be rolling it with my hand. And look, this is this is me doing the best I can with what I got over here. All right, so this flashing tape that we're using, obviously you can see the name on it. I'm not advocating for or against anything. I just knew that we were going to need some flashing tape to go around the window, and that we'll build our trim around it later. What I am going to want to do is come in here or put some silicone definitely across the top and down the sides. Because I don't think the tape can, do everything you're going to want it to do in those areas like that. So I will grab the silicone. And I angled that up a little bit so you can see the top of it. Now look, the main thing is just get out and try to do things you've always wanted to do but never got up and started doing them. That's the main thing, like what I'm trying to share in my videos. There's never a lot of editing here. It's just, hey, here's some stuff I'm trying. If it helps you, that's awesome. If you learn something from any of what we're doing, we appreciate it. Share with us. So what's important with this is you definitely want to have some that's paintable. And that's one of the first mistakes that I made over time, and says, hey man, this is the AMP made by DAP, Advanced Modified Polymer All Weather Sealant, outperforms silicone, wet surface applications, 30-minute paint ready, crystal clear clarity. All right, so that's what we're using up here. And at first you can see I'm just kind of filling some of these holes here at the top for that board and batten look that this siding has. And then I'm going across the top with a little bead. And of course, I'm still going to come back over with the tape, but we're going to let this dry. And I'll come back later and finish the tape on these. And I'm going to put a little bit on some of these screw holes and stuff like that. But you know what, I'm thinking about it. The purpose of that tape is to take care of that stuff. I can definitely see that if you don't do this, you have so many opportunities for water and moisture to get in here, etc. And I can also see why using these screws was not a great idea, because there's no way on some of these that my flashing boards are going to sit flush. So I'm going to take some of that back out. And I would not use screws on these. I'd use nails. But now you can see, because I use the screws on some of these that I have to go at a different angle with the nail. That's okay, find that angle that works. It's probably this one right here is going to give me a problem later. So let me see what I can do with this one. Fantastic. We'll just get rid of it. So note to self, nails, because these screws look like definitely going to cause problems when you try to get your trim boards flush on here and you're hitting all these screws. Now these last couple seem like they're okay, no big deal. All right, I'll go back here and double check where we were working on this. I was just kind of going over the edges of the window, some of the top nails or screw holes, because I want to make sure they're weather tight before I even put the zip system, whatever it's called, on there. And then I was also going to come down the side with a bead. And I got to let this dry, and then I'm going to put the tape over it. And then I'll measure everything, but I'm thinking it's got to be at least 4-inch to cover the tape for the trim piece. But man, I feel like I halfway know how to install a window now. I know some of the mistakes that I made that I wouldn't want to repeat again. And some of y'all might say you wouldn't put the silicone over here, but I'm just trying to be extra cautious for some of these areas where water would come through. All right, I guess got a couple more, and we're gonna call it for here and let all this dry. When I come back from the scalp beading, I will put the rest of the tape on here. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Remember to release your hold on here and stick something here in the end for your silicone. All right, we'll be back at it in a little while. Well, hey folks, welcome to Tim's Off Grid. So we are finishing with our flashing tape on the window. So last night yesterday afternoon, I had put some silicone around the window. When I do the next window, I'm gonna put silicone on the back side, and that's what I forgot to do on this one. You know, I'm getting used to what it's gonna take to do stuff like this that I haven't done before. So this tape is 3 3/4 of an inch also. Now, one thing I can do that'll help, because when you do your trim boards, the trim boards are typically for a window going to be like 3 1/2. They're a 4-inch board, but they're only 3 1/2. So what I'm attempting to do here is get the tape to start on the side of the window, so I don't have to cut the tape to around 3 1/2 or so, or 3 1/4. So what I'm trying to do is get the tape to grab onto the window a little bit on the side right here. So I'm taking the tape and I'm following the edge of the window here. And that way our taping will start on the actual window vertical portion, and then we'll come over to the horizontal flange of the window. And then I won't have to come back and do any cutting or anything with the tape. Because you don't want any of the tape to show, obviously. All right, so that's what I'm doing right now. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to get it to where the tape will only go onto the flanged area about 3.5 inches, versus I've got to start doing stuff that's creative. Like over here, I used a board here, and I raised up the edge of the tape, and I cut the tape off. But this flashing tape, this is some super sticky stuff. But this looks like it's working really well. And I'm going to try to do something similar up here on the top. And I need to have my knife ready already. Yeah, the guy at Home Depot, he was real quick to say, just cut your extra tape off if it's longer than what you need, because Home Depot didn't have many choices at the store where it came to flashing tape, which I thought was interesting because we know elsewhere they have different choices of flashing tape. But I thought that was kind of single-sided to only have one choice. All right, and I'm just making a little cut in the corner to get this to fold over properly. Now, obviously, there's a roller that you can use. I'm not using that roller, as you can tell. But we got a pretty good solid system here over this window, and you can see why the roller is important to get any air bubbles that are in here. All right, and our last piece. But again, this is like the zip tape, zip system flashing tape. That's what this is. There's a lot of different tapes out there in the market, obviously. This is just the one that I could get that was readily available. So that's the main reason I'm going with it. I've used other flashing tape on, if you watched the video where I was doing the roofing project on the lean-to for the firewood shed, I used a different flashing tape on it. I do like this. I think this is going to hold up really well for its intended purpose, which is to divert water. And we'll see when I do that second window, how all this goes with the second window that I'll do. And I'll keep coming out here a couple times, running my hands over everything. So from here, I will get some trim that's 3.5 inches by 3/4 inch. So you won't see any of these edges of the window. So this trim will come in here, and I'm thinking about getting the PVC white trim to go on here. And then I think he wants to paint these walls blue, and we may do this black in here so it looks like board and batten. But I think this came out really well. I added extra screws on the sides about every foot apart, as well as along the bottom. I'm going to do the same up top. For the rest of the studs, I'm probably going to put nails so we have definitive shear strength. So I'll go all the way around doing that. Reason I haven't done the roof yet, I've been contemplating whether I wanted to do a lean-to roof or a gable. So, I've been going back and forth over that in my own mind. I know a lean-to roof would be way faster and easier. So, also, we did get a comment about the 2x8 header in here. I went more heavy duty in here because we're going to have a loft inside of here, and that loft is going to be right above where the trim would go for the window. So the loft probably starts 3.5 inches above the window. And having that 2x8 header in there, that just gives me more meat for portions of the ledger boards for that loft. And if I did this as a lean-to, I will go up like another 18 inches. I'll build a box that goes on top of here, a rectangle with cripples, and we would come off of that and go towards the back. And depending on the slope of that roof, whether or not we would need to raise the back any. So, you would raise come up 18 inches here, come up 6 inches in the back, and then do a lean-to roof, or we do a gable roof. So I'm still contemplating what we're going to do with that. Anyways, appreciate everybody. Thanks for all the support. Hope this video turned out well for y'all. In terms of how I showed my methodology for putting, this window in here. And this 24x36 can accommodate your probably like 6,000 BTU, maybe even 12,000 BTU, depending on the size, will accommodate a window unit if you wanted a window unit in your tiny house or your shed. All right, appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.